Hey, Composite Gloves here, and today we're going to be taking a look at constructing major scales. This is the major scale exercise. The packet has been updated with this worksheet available in it, link in the description. So you'll have to update it, or if you haven't done it yet, you can download the whole workbook that exists as of yet. So we are learning how to make major scales, and I want to just issue a couple of reasons why of certain ways this exercise should be done. So the first thing is you shouldn't use key signatures. I haven't taught about key signatures yet, so I'm assuming you don't have knowledge of it. But even if you do, don't use key signatures because they're just a crutch. It gets away from the points of getting familiar with the scales. You should be able to think in keys, and this is a great way to introduce you to thinking in it. So it's just a practice exercise like that. So don't use key signatures. And the other thing is I want you to get used to writing in two clefs. At least. So we have the treble and the bass clef. You're probably going to be working with these clefs the most, just a ton. So you should really master them. Just master reading in both of them. A lot of people are very strong in one, and they use it as a crutch to learn the other. And that's totally fine. Just memorize how to read in both. So the way the exercise works is I want you to construct the specified scales, so like A major, C major, la. They're all major scales. Obviously, and then we say don't use key signatures, and then this is an interesting bit. Label only the intervals including a double sharp or double flat. So go ahead and label all the intervals of the first one. We'll do the first one together, but later on down the line I've included some more interesting scales that you won't really see because there's alternatives to them that are way better. But under particular conditions, you may find yourself reaching for them, and this is an exercise in theory. You should be able to apply the theory to these things, and it will really show you this is a system that works. And so I've included things like A sharp major. Now I haven't included, there might be one really crazy one, but I only included a few of those just so you get the idea of like where and why double sharps and double flats might be used. So let's go ahead and jump into it. It's less common with major scales. When you get into the minor scales, you will see these things a little more commonly. But you will see that the theory works. That's the whole point. And so we say, do not write the major scale intervals or the order of sharps and flats. So if you know what these are, well, you should know what the major scale intervals are. I don't want you to write like unison, minor second, major second, minor second, la, and reference it. Like we're going to write it on the first one, but I don't want you to be going back and looking at it. If you forget, say it in your head. It's a repetition exercise. So because ideally we're trying to internalize this information. And then we also say the order of sharps and flats. That's another way to sort of cheat at key signatures. And so we're not going to do that quite yet, but I'm okay with you just saying it in your head or whatever. If you need a quick refresher, I use it as a tool. When I get into scales, I use less often. So let's go ahead and make the first one. And so the way we're going to do is I'm going to start on the treble, and then I even have that up here. Whoops. Right with each exercise, start with the opposite clef. And so what that means is if you start with treble, write the next exercise on bass. So for example, A major. So we say, okay, I'll start on treble here. And so I'm going to put down, and I'm going to work in eighth notes just so I can fit it all on here for sure. And so I'm going to start with an A. And I don't care what octave you start at. You could start here. You could start like way up here if you want and go really into the ledger lines. Probably best idea to not get into ledger line territory because in four-part writing, that's sort of taboo. So let's go ahead for traditional, harmony writing. So we're going to go, okay, so we start on A, and now we're going to do our little every line and space deal. So we're just going to fill in our scale, and then we're going to check our intervals. I'm okay with this as far as the repetition goes. If you want to type it out repeatedly, I'd rather you do it in your head, but I guess if you absolutely need to. So Control K to enter the text mode. And so this first one should be a unison, right? And we hit spacebar to go to the next note. And then this should be a major second, a major third, a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, major six, major seven. And I'm just doing this for the first one. The other ones you would do, well, I've already done this in the exercise, but you would do it in your head. So you'd be like, oh yeah, in my head, da. Okay, so we've got this. We say, okay, A is a unison with A, so we're good there. Now we need a major second. So we say, is B a major second from A? And we say, yes, it is. So we don't have to adjust this note. Now we say, is C a major third from A? And we think about it, and you do your counting or whatever, you look at your piano. You say, no, it's not. it would need to be either a D flat or a C sharp. And we see here that it is a C, so it must be a C. So I can't make it a D. That would be impossible. It would be wrong. So instead, I'm going to make it C sharp. And there we go. And we go through and we just, do the whole thing. So we say, oh, this should be sharp and that should be sharp to make it a major 6 and major 7, and you're done. And you can now check it, listen to it. And we're like, hey, we got it. And then on the next one, you would start. I'm not going to do this whole next one, especially since it's C major. But, you start on C, and away you go. You just start working your way around. So that's really it as far as this goes. You will run into those double sharps, and so on those, you don't need to write out all these chord, or not interval markings, not chord markings. You don't have to write out all these interval markings on the other ones again, because, just do it in your head. You think, okay, A flat major, and you do the major minor second thing, and you'll begin to recognize patterns. And the next exercise will sort of build off this one, because we'll be composing in these different keys. And we won't be composing in sort of the unusual like A sharp major. Like, you just won't be working in that. That's just so you're aware of these things. If you see it on a test or whatever, you'll know what to do with it. So yeah, that's it. Pretty simple exercise, but one that's pretty important. Honestly, if you could probably get quite a bit out of it by doing studies in a particular key. So what I mean by that is, like, if you play piano or you're learning piano, this is a really great exercise for people who are learning an instrument, because you say A major. I'm going to start in A major, and I'm going to play the A major scale going up. Then I'm going to start on the 5th of A major, play from the 5th up. Then I'm going to start on the 6th and go down. You just come up with interesting exercises, and it makes you really internalize the scale, get familiar with how it works on your instrument, makes it personal. You get used to thinking in that key, and then you go on to the next one and you do that. And that's like, if you're into improvisation, knowing this stuff is like ultra critical, because now you can think of things like the 4th and the 5th of the scale extraordinarily quickly. Be like, what's the 1? What's the 5? What's the 6? And away you go. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.